Hey guys. Okay, so a couple of weeks ago, I was having a chat with one of our long-standing building designer clients. More specifically, we were talking about commercial options when it comes to major roads, in residential areas. Anyway, long story short, he actually had a meeting coming up with the Lord Mayor, and he was dying to sit down with the Lord Mayor and have a chat about why they don't actually support commercial uses in these situations. I found myself sitting there just going, dude, no, isn't it obvious? No. Anyway, since then I've had a few more conversations with real estate agents, different clients over the last week or so, and it's a similar theme and a similar topic that keeps coming up time and time again. So I thought, hey, why don't I use this week's video to share my thoughts on why these uses don't work, or why these, uses is probably the best way to describe it, don't actually work in these locations. So there's probably two key reasons and a couple of little ancillary type reasons. So number one, affordable housing. Let's be honest, most people, if they had the choice, would prefer not to live on a major road. Therefore, these properties that are located on major roads like Mogul Road, Gympie Road, all of that sort of stuff, they come in at a lower price point. So they provide an affordable housing option for people who can't necessarily get into that suburb. So you think someone might work in the inner city, or they might work in one of these inner locations. Normally, they wouldn't be able to afford to live near where they work, so they'd have to pay a bucket load for public transport to get into the city, blah, blah, blah. Well, now they have the option of living on the main road and getting their foot in the door. That is obviously great for them in terms of providing them with options and lifestyle choices, all of that sort of stuff, but it's also great for society. So I won't bother diving into all the details because it gets all woo-woo and airy-fairy. But in short, over the years, from a planning perspective, we've learnt that you don't want to segregate groups of people. You don't want enclaves or little areas which have just one type of demographic and socioeconomic type of group. You want everyone to mix, because then you avoid the crime issues, all of that sort of stuff that generally comes with having everyone segregated. So it's a win for the individual, and it can be a win for society to have everyone mixing and having these affordable housing options in the pricier sort of areas. So that's point number one. Point number two is safety from a traffic perspective. So you think about it, if you have people living in these properties for residential reasons, living residential, you get what I'm trying to say here. If they're living in these properties, you probably got 2 traffic movements a day. So you got the car leaving in the morning and the car coming home at night. There may be the odd other one, but generally speaking, it's just 2 movements each day. And those movements are being undertaken by people who are familiar with the location. So they know about the issues with these major roads, how fast the cars come along, how frequently the cars come along, the blind spots, all of that sort of stuff. However, if it's a commercial premises, you've got a much higher turnover of vehicles, and those people that are accessing the site, they have a lower awareness, let's just say, of what those traffic impacts are. What does this mean? Well, quite simply, if you have commercial premises on the major roads, you have a higher issue, or higher risk, I should say, of traffic crashes and safety issues, and you get what I'm trying to say. So by having residential uses there, it reduces the impacts in terms of traffic and safety. So they're probably the 2 key ones. Now, there's a couple, like I said, of ancillary type ones. Firstly, I'd suggest amenity. So if you're driving along a strip, let's say through Gympie Road in Aspley, or I don't know, there's a million different examples out there, it ain't exactly the prettiest streetscape to look at. You've got A-frames everywhere, hoarding signs everywhere. It's a bit of a dog's breakfast, let's be honest. So by having those commercial strips dragging out, you're increasing the amount of signage and messiness that we see in our cities. Technical term, messiness. However, if you congregate, what am I trying to say here? Cluster, group, you get the idea. All of the commercial uses together, you can have a single pole sign with everyone's little signs on it. So it starts to beautify the area. Obviously, like I said, it's not a primary reason, but it's still a consideration. Now, the final one I want to throw at you is safety and security. So generally speaking, if you have commercial strips, people aren't there at night. So they kind of become little ghost towns. They're not really safe places to hang out. Whereas if you have residential along these major roads, you've got eyes and ears on the street almost 24 hours a day, depending on where the house is. So by having residential uses, you improve safety and you help with crime prevention through environmental design. SEPTED, that's a mouthful, but you get the idea. So that is by no means an exhaustive summary of all of the reasons why we can't have these commercial uses on major roads. But hopefully it does give you a bit of an insight, let's just to say, as to why these uses aren't supported in those locations. Okay, I think that covers off everything I want to talk about. As I always say, until next time, thanks for watching.
For all you red tape lovers out there, I have one thing to say. Well, no, actually, I've got three. Number one, the advice provided in these videos is general in nature. It's not site specific. You would be a silly Billy to go and make financial decisions based on this advice without first checking with the town planner. Don't be a silly Billy. Number two, Brisbane town planning is in no way linked to Brisbane City Council. The views expressed in these videos are my own, not council's. So if you don't like them, blame me, not council. Number three, what was my number three? Oh yeah, the views expressed in these videos are accurate at the time of recording. If you're watching this video back 10 years from now, the views may not be so accurate. That's all.